Adjust those headphones, get locked in your gaming chair, get the caffeine flowing, and get ready for a crosshair conversation with Chrissy. You ready to load in? Welcome back to Crosshair Conversations, an episode of my podcast, a podcast where we take aim at the latest and the greatest in tech, innovation, and the digital landscape. You guys, I'm ChrissyHQ, and I'm gonna try my hardest not to be biased, little pushy. I'm overly excited about this topic. Today, we're going to talk about something that's making waves all over the industry, the new iPhone announcement, and what many, including myself, are calling the beginning of Apple's downfall. Now, I am a Samsung user. I'm a Samsung girly through and through. But I will say I had an iPhone for about 6 months back in 2012. So I'm qualified to have my opinion. Now, every year we see Apple, they take the stage, they have a few glitzy videos, some polished presentations, and then boom, bang, we got a new iPhone, a new MacBook, a new gadget. And this time it just feels different, right? For the first time in a long time, people aren't just questioning the new iPhone specs or the price, they're questioning Apple's entire direction. So, the question we're asking today is: has Apple hit its peak? Are we witnessing the start of a decline of one of the world's most iconic tech companies? Let me break it down for you. First, just look at the announcement itself. In the past, a new iPhone launch was electric. Fans would line up outside Apple stores for days, eager to get their hands on the latest phone or device. And each device felt like just a leap forward. But this year, I feel like y'all are getting the same thing. Little updates, maybe a new camera lens, slightly faster chip, but nothing that is screaming revolutionary. And that's a problem, right? Apple has built its empire upon being the groundbreaking, the front runner, the first iPod, the first iPhone, the iPad, even the Apple Watch. All of these devices did not just tweak what came before, they transformed the industry. And in recent years, it seems like Apple is kind of shifting from innovation to iteration and what I'm going to call repetition. And I don't think that this can sustain them into the era where competition is so fierce and, well, us as consumers, our expectations are higher than ever. So, you may argue Apple is still a trillion billion-dollar company and they're making money, so they've got to be doing something right. And you wouldn't be wrong, but let's start. Let's start right there. And remember that success in tech is not just about where you are today, it's about where you're going to be in 5, 10, 15 years. We're looking into the future here. And for Apple, that's where the cracks are starting to show. So if you take a look at the global smartphone market, Apple has kind of a grip on the premium phone market, and it is very strong still. But when we talk about market share globally, companies like Samsung, and especially the rise of these Chinese brands like Oppo and Xiaomi, it's Xiaomi. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. I need to look that up. But they are offering devices that, in this case and many other cases, are rivaling and surpassing the iPhone. And that's in terms of specs. And they're also a fraction of the cost. And who nowadays isn't trying to save some money? But it's not just a hardware competition, right? Software and ecosystem lock in is what was Apple's bread and butter. They had mastered the art of making all their devices seamlessly work together, creating that ecosystem that kept users within the walls, right? If you have the iPhone, you have the Mac, you have the Apple TV, you got the AirPods, right? All of them working together. But now Android's open platform is catching up, and companies like Google, they're developing ecosystems that rival Apple. Like think Google Home, Android Auto, and the Pixel series, all of which, people are not as tied to their iPhones as much as they once were. Now, hold on, huge elephant in the room. Innovation. Tell me, when was the last time Apple introduced a product that genuinely felt brand new? Like, sure, we have AirPods. They've kind of been a hit.
But outside of that, the tech world is buzzing about artificial intelligence, foldable displays, AR and VR. And while companies like Meta, Microsoft, Google, they're all pushing the boundaries, it seems like Apple is quite hesitant. It's no secret, but Apple just doesn't seem to be confident in these areas, and they've reduced the production rate already on the Apple Pro Visions. So, yes, they are rumored to be working on other AR glasses and other mixed reality headsets, but it's all been so secretive and delayed that the excitement is fizzling out before we've even seen anything. This this might be because of Apple's perfectionism, but now it's risking making them look outdated. Another key factor is Apple's heavy reliance on the iPhone. So, the iPhone for revenue, big hitter for Apple. According to recent reports, over 50% of Apple's revenue still comes from iPhone sales. And in a time where tech giants are diversifying and investing in AI and cloud computing and next gen tech that we are all super excited for, Apple is still heavily tethered to that one single product line. And if the excitement of the iPhone starts to fade, then that's a problem. A huge problem. 50% of their revenue. Big problem. So, what does this mean? What does this mean for Apple's future? It's not all doom and gloom, of course. Like, Apple still has that ecosystem advantage, the brand loyalty. I call y'all the Apple sheep, and a massive user base. We can't ignore that. But I think the cracks are becoming harder to ignore. And if Apple wants to stay on top, it's going to need to do more than just update the iPhone every year with some new colors. The new colors are cool, don't get me wrong, but it's time for Apple to reinvent itself. Just like it's done in the past, it is time to do that now. So, whether that's been through AR, AI, maybe something we haven't imagined, it's time. Apple needs to reclaim its title as the innovator in tech. And if they don't, well, let me tell you, history has shown us what happens to companies that fail to evolve in this industry. Do you need some examples? I got you. For starters, we have Blockbuster. Why did Blockbuster fail? Blockbuster did not adapt to the shift towards online streaming and the digital distribution. They were so locked into having their physical rental stores, and they missed the opportunity to embrace the streaming services early on, like Netflix. Blockbuster, if they would have hopped on that right away, they could be around still and be the front runner. But they missed out. Then we have Nokia. Nokia failed. Why did Nokia fail? They were once the world leader in mobile phones, and they failed to adapt to the rise of smartphones, particularly the shift to touchscreens and app driven operating systems. Nokia stuck with what is called the Symbian operating system, and it just became outdated extremely quick, could not keep up, and they got lost in the dust. Now, on the technology side of things, Kodak. I love photography. Kodak was too slow, though, to embrace the digital photography revolution. Despite, though, Kodak was the first ones to invent the digital camera. Literally the first digital camera. They beat everyone else there and then just stopped because they were way too invested in their film business. And digital cameras and smartphones took over, and Kodak's reliance on film became its downfall, and they couldn't make it to the next level. And after those pictures were taken on those first early digital cameras, we uploaded them to MySpace. Where did MySpace go? Let me tell you. MySpace was once the leading social network. I was on MySpace. Everyone was on MySpace. We loved MySpace. But it failed to evolve with the user enjoyment and experience, privacy, innovation. When Facebook came, it surpassed MySpace so fast. And poor management and lack of focus on improving the platform just contributed to the downfall. All in all, they couldn't keep up because they also just refused to change. MySpace refused to move along with what was coming next. They thought they were solid, locked in. And, well, as you can see today, they were not. So let's bounce back to the topic of mobile phones. The BlackBerry, the Palm, Those all faded away when new innovation was introduced with the iPhone and Android. BlackBerry had dominated the market in the early 2000s with its physical keyboards and the strong security features. However, when the touchscreen devices came out, they underestimated the appeal, and they chose not to go forth. And who has a BlackBerry today? Then we have the Palm. The Palm was the introduction to the personal digital assistant, or PDAs, and the early smartphones. So the Palm Pilot, the Palm Trio, all of those way too slow to innovate as well. And those companies were eventually they were obtained by HP. But it was so far gone. Technology had gone so far by that time that HP failed to revive those brands and kind of lost in the dark. So right now, I think that that's the threat that Apple is facing, and I don't know, I think it's a big one. The rise, the potential fall of Apple, all wrapped around the most influential product of the modern era, the iPhone. What do you think? Is Apple slipping? Do you think they have a trick up their sleeve that we don't know about and they're just waiting to spring on us? I would love to hear your thoughts. Hit me up on social media or leave a comment down below. Do not forget to like this podcast, and thanks for joining me on Crosshair Conversations. Stay locked in, and I'll see you next time.